Welcome to the Crossroads, where we honor the duality of life, embracing the darkness, and loving the light. Together we'll explore spiritual philosophy, mythology, shamanic practices, witchcraft, and more. Join me as we journey through the mysteries of life, death, and everything in between. Before we begin, a quick disclaimer. This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only and not professional advice. Please use your own discretion and enjoy the show. Hi, welcome to the Crossroads. My name is Angela Rajniganda. I am the owner of Arcana Apothecary. So today I want to talk about shamanic practitioners, what this kind of healing involves, what a session might look like, and how it can support very deep transformation. A shamanic practitioner is someone who works with spiritual and energetic realms for the purpose of healing, guidance, and insight. We act as kind of intermediaries between the spiritual and the physical worlds. We try to help restore balance, emotionally, physically, energetically, and spiritually. And this kind of work can really spark very deep transformation. It can involve healing traumas, clearing past life imprints, retrieving lost soul parts, and reconnecting people with their inner power and purpose. And just to start, the term shamanic practitioner is used by many people today who are practicing the core methods of shamanic healing, but people have become really cautious of calling themselves a shaman because some believe that the title of shaman is something that is given to you through initiation into specific lineages or by culture. And I personally just don't believe this. And I know some people disagree, and I respect that, but I believe, if you're naturally born gifted with shamanic abilities, and if you're out there doing the work of a shaman, the very intense, deep work of a shaman, then call yourself a shaman. You know in your heart who and what you are, and if you know that you're a shaman, then I say claim the title. You don't need anyone else to give it to you or to tell you that you're allowed to call yourself that. But also, if you feel in your heart that maybe you're just not ready for that title, maybe you're still learning about shamanism, or you've just started practicing, then maybe you would want to call yourself a shamanic practitioner. But if you've been doing this type of work for many years, or you were born naturally gifted in these areas, then I see no problem with calling yourself a shaman. Now, personally, I tend to refer to myself as a shamanic practitioner more just out of habit, but I have no problem calling myself a shaman, and I don't mind if others call me that either. I know what I do, I know the work that I do, and I know what I've walked through to get here. In my healing sessions, I offer a blend of techniques that I've studied and learned over the years that is very personal to me. I use traditional energy healing techniques similar to Reiki, but also Egyptian Sekhem healing alongside shamanic healing practices and even some kind of old school folk and hoodoo techniques. And depending on the session, I might use crystals, I might use drums, rattles, herbs, or plant essences. Every session is intuitively guided and completely different. You never know what's going to come in, but overall my work is largely rooted in shamanic practice. So I thought I'd go over just a few of the key practices of a shamanic practitioner, and these will include energy work, shamanic journeying, soul retrieval, working with spirit allies, working with the land, and psychopomp work. So energy work, which you're probably familiar with, involves clearing energy blockages, energetic attachments, stagnant energy, and trapped emotions in the aura and the energetic body. It can be similar to Reiki in some ways, but in a shamanic practice, it often goes a little bit deeper or brings in different spiritual tools depending on what's needed. Shamanic journeying. Journeying is one of the core parts of shamanic work. This is when a practitioner enters a trance-like state or even an astral travel, often through rhythmic drumming or rattling, but not always, for the purpose of accessing different realms of the spiritual world for healing and information. Journeying is how I connect with my spirit guides and retrieve messages for clients, do past life work, or even travel to different places in time to do work on past traumas and things like that. And soul retrievals. Sometimes when we experience trauma, grief, shock, a part of our soul can kind of fragment or splinter off. During a shamanic journey, we'll often go into these spirit realms to find and reintegrate these parts of the self for our clients. And I actually learned this process first by doing it on myself. My guides walked me through finding and collecting lost soul pieces of my own that I've lost over the years due to trauma. And many people would say that you shouldn't do this type of work on yourself, but I really had no issue with it at all. Reintegrating those lost soul parts very often brings very deep emotional release or clarity, or even sense of feeling more whole again. And working with spirit allies. This includes communication with power animals, spirit guides, ancestors, or other helping spirits. I work very closely with many guides during every session, guides of my own as well as my clients' guides, and they each play a different role in the healing depending on what the client needs at that time. Working with the land. Some of my work involves connecting with land spirits and receiving their assistance, as well as honoring and healing the land itself, clearing residual energies or asking spirits of the place for guidance or protection. And psychopomp work. This is a significant part of what I do. Not every shaman does psychopomp work, and I guess not every psychopomp might call himself a shaman, but in my shamanic practice, I do psychopomp work. And this is the practice of helping souls to cross over, whether it's someone who's recently passed or someone who's passed a while ago but is maybe stuck or lost in the middle world. And this too is one thing that I practiced on myself first. I had past lives that hadn't fully crossed over and were kind of still roaming about. So my very first experience of doing psychopomp work was on myself. And, so this is just a very brief introduction as to a few healing methods that shamanic practitioner may use, but every healer works so differently. Each has their own unique skill set, and every session I do as well is entirely different. No two sessions are alike. So if you've been curious about shamanic healing or working with a practitioner, I hope this gave you a little bit of a better idea if this work is calling you, whether you're feeling drawn to experience it or explore your own gifts. I encourage you to follow that pull. And if you're interested in a healing session, you can find more about that on my website. And I guess that's it for today. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for joining me at The Crossroads, which is brought to you by Arcana Apothecary. Visit me at arcanaapothecary.com and connect on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so we can continue this journey together. Remember, there's a time for love and light, and there's a time for raising hell. Until next time, I'll meet you at The Crossroads.